Welcome, everybody. My name is Arjun, producer, recordist, mix engineer, coming at you from Grande Prairie, Alberta, my hometown. Here we are at the fantastic Better Than Fred's, a fine bar, live venue, and purveyors of delicious barbecue, I would say. It's very yummy. So this is episode 7. I think it's 7. A series of unedited conversations that I'm calling the Hometown Hustle podcast, video series, something. This deals with my artistic journey through the arts and music scene in the Peace Country in the early 2000s and all of the people who helped me to get where I am today. Today, in fact, we are fortunate to have back with us Bevin Booth, fine musician, producer, collaborator, bandmate, all-around good guy, for part 2 of our, what was becoming monstrous conversation. Bevin, thank you for coming back.
Glad to be back, man.
Man, we totally can't, for a couple of reasons, we can't pretend that this just continued from earlier. You've shaved,
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a new man in the last 5 days. I don't know how long it's been.
All the reviews have changed.
Yeah,
things
that's
that you've
right.
done. Yeah, I get it.
Everything. Yeah.
Everything. No, it's a heady time. I get it.
That's right.
Oh my gosh. So your birthday's coming up.
That's right.
Bevin, how old are you going to be?
I'm going to be 31.
31.
All right.
Wow, man.
Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy. It's 2019. We were in a band in 2006.
Mm-hmm.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah. It is.
Well, so I feel like last time we were talking about kind of the end of Calculating Collapse. We were recounting some of the things that happened. Did we finish talking about the whole tour, like the final tour that we did? I think so. Kind of went over some of the lessons learned. We went over some of the recording pitfalls, or I should say label pitfalls.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. So I feel like maybe we can chat about, or it would be constructive to talk about a couple of member changes leading up to the touring end of things.
Right.
Jordan Lorenz.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah. What was the band that he was in? You remembered. The Sickness?
Sickness Within. Yeah,
right.
That's right.
Right. They were very cool.
They were.
John Jones, our old singer, was their singer. We switched out vocalists, and then Jordan joined. Did you know Jordan and those guys before?
Yeah. I knew all of them.
Okay.
Really, because I knew, I think it was the first time I really met Dallas Dick, who was their bass player, I believe.
That's right. That's right. Yep.
And I went to school with him, but I didn't really know him.
Yep.
Because I went to school with Kyle. Right. And Kyle, the guitar player. And so I kind of met through them, but I knew Kevin.
Right. Yes.
What's his last name?
Biggs.
Kevin Biggs.
Yeah. Yep.
I knew Kevin from way back in the day because he played with some other metal bands, just in the local Howlers kind of scene.
He was drummer in Overture, correct?
Overture. That's right.
Okay.
Yeah,
right.
That's it. I pretty much knew all those guys.
Okay.
Before Jordan joined us, for sure. Yeah.
Got it. Had you had any musical interactions with them? Like aside from seeing them perform and stuff like that?
Not much other than jamming and stuff, having too many beers, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But no, that's about it. Yeah.
Got it. I can't remember if we chatted about bringing Jordan in, because everything kind of for that situation kind of happened so fast. Yeah. And we were supposed to be gigging a bunch. We had some things coming up right away.
Yeah, we did.
I remember reaching out to Jordan and meeting him at Cobblestone. This is a shout out to Cobblestone Starbucks. They've been, kicking butt since, I don't know, what was this, 2007?
Yeah.
But we met there and I asked him about band stuff and if he would have the bandwidth to potentially play with us. Right. Do you remember what that was like? Did he just kind of come on board? Did we all meet and chat with him, or did he just come out to a jam one day and then that was it?
Yeah, I recall just hearing that he was in the band. I was like, okay. I didn't mind whatsoever.
Sure.
I was okay, sweet, we got somebody,
Yeah.
And so I think, I don't even think we hung out before we practiced for that one time. That was Yeah, it was fun.
Absolutely. No, I'm glad that you mentioned that because for me, remembering back, obviously I can only sort of remember what I remember, what my perspective was, and I remember at the time again thinking like in very short order, like oh no, and then we need somebody, and then who could that be, and then suddenly thinking of Jordan, and like probably without talking to anyone, like reaching out and being like, hey man, okay. Yeah. Well, I'm glad it worked out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. Gosh. I think I had the same kind of mind frame. It's just like we got to keep moving and keep this train rolling.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I feel like we played in Fort St. John with him. Like that was his first show. Was that the case?
I think so. Yeah.
It was it was like an incredible show with Jason on vocals and then Jordan having joined us, and it was at the Lido.
That's right. Yeah.
That's what that was.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember that, for me anyway, it's one of my sort of fondest like show memories. I don't know what it was about that particular show.
Yeah.
It could have been relief at, what had just happened and then getting a replacement and then having it work out so well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was good. It just kind of worked out so well. It just happened and was good.
Exactly. That's it. It was just a smooth transition. As smooth as it could be, I guess. One thing that was cool, I always felt, was the scene in Fort St. John was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
there were like some rock bands. There were a couple of punk bands. There were a couple of metal bands. We've talked about the Butcher's Hand being like the our ex-label mates.
Yeah, totally.
Should we say? And there were a couple other sort of younger metal bands at the time, and I can't remember what the circumstances were, like who played that show.
Right.
But I feel like we were headlining that show.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that one in particular. I want to say maybe even Reject came with us.
Oh,
maybe. I know we did one there with them.
That's right.
Not sure if that was the one, but
right.
But Jordan was definitely there.
Yeah. Yep.
Jordan and Jason.
The two J's.
Yeah.
That was a heck of a show for sure.
Yeah,
the crowd there was always great.
Yeah.
I think it ties into like the for us the all ages scene being a big thing, and every time we'd go there, they were just there were a ton of. I don't want to say kids because they're like not, nobody's kids anymore, right?
Yeah,
but like at the time, everyone's like 14 or something. The place would be packed, and the shows would always be great.
Yeah.
My gosh,
those were good times, man.
Yeah, those were good times. I don't want to necessarily dwell on like picking a thing and just being like, that was like what was that Chris Farley on SNL? Like, hey, do you did you?
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, exactly. That was so cool.
Remember that time when you died? Yeah, I wasn't really dead. Sweet.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. Oh man. So that was the Jordan thing, and Jordan was great. I feel like when I was thinking about people who could fill in, particularly playing the kind of music that we had going on, I think because of having recently seen The Sickness Within, knowing that his like chops were there, totally. And it worked out. It means he's a great guy. Just personality-wise, just very positive. That was good. And then Sean Streeper. So we know again, Jason couldn't sort of make the rest of the touring, and we were, again, we were in that mindset like we have to keep this going. Yeah. Did we like end up jamming with Sean, or was it just kind of a given? Like, hey, why don't you come on tour with us, and we'll jam until we have to leave? Yeah,
I think that I don't remember doing much practicing with him. Yeah. But because I remember we did. I think we came back from the BC side of the tour, came home for a little bit. Yep. And we went to Edmonton to play Harvesting Hell.
That's festival. Right.
Jason was still there with us.
Oh my gosh.
But yes. I think even Streeper came with us.
He did. Yep.
And so we did that, and then I think that's kind of where we split.
Right.
Like I think Jason went home, and then we just continued on from there, or something like that. We might have went home, but
that's right.
But I just remember that like there was like maybe a time of like a week or 2 weeks between those two tours. Yep. So there wasn't much time for Sean to really
not
get ready, but he killed it, and like I remember when he started singing for Sickness Within.
Yep.
And I didn't know what to think at first. I'm like, oh, Sean's going to sing? Like, he's the quietest guy I know.
Yeah, exactly.
And then he gets up on the stage with them, and I like, it's here at Fred's, and I'm watching him. It's like, I'm kind of like nervous for him.
Sure, yeah.
And he's just like, everybody get the fuck up. And it's like, holy.
That's right.
Like, oh my God, this is awesome.
Totally.
Yeah. So, no, it was good. I knew that he would do a good job.
Definitely. And again, it's interesting because thinking back now, the three vocalists we've had, I mean, in terms of the character of their vocals, they've all been completely different. Like they've all been so different,
Yeah. Totally.
I'm trying to think back, and I feel like once we re-recorded everything to release in EP form, we still had Jason's vocals and some of Chris's vocals, and so I don't think we really did any recording with Sean on vocals, right? Like I don't
we
think
didn't.
we did.
No.
That's too bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, he really pulled it off. I feel like we jammed as often as we could in that week and a half between, legs of the tour.
Mm-hmm.
Harvesting Hell was actually, again, we should take a moment to talk about that, I think.
Yeah.
So Tyson Boyd, who now, he and some partners and his partner as well in life, they own and operate Starlight Room.
Yeah.
Right? And
I think they do another one too, another club. I think they can't remember which one. But they're doing some good stuff there.
Such good stuff.
They're
And I mean,
keeping it going.
Absolutely. Not only that place, but also, in terms of their concert booking, Concert Works.
Yeah.
They bring in all the good rock and metal shows, in Edmonton and Calgary.
Absolutely.
Which is fantastic. And so Tyson, I forget what the circumstances were. I'm sure he, obviously he can tell us exactly what was up. But I remember he, for example, went to Wacken. I don't know if it was 1 year or it was like a regular thing that he did.
Right.
But going there and then coming back, he had a desire to sort of do something active, music, metal, let's do a thing.
Yeah.
And so I think Harvesting Hell was the first big thing, right?
Yeah, totally.
And that was the first year that existed. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if they did another one.
Oh, after? Yeah, I'm not sure, man.
Because I know that he had a lot of trouble getting a location. There was like two.
Absolutely.
And one, I can't remember what happened to one of them, but the other one was like a Christian community that just wasn't on board.
That's
or like
right.
they said yes, and then
Yep.
we got it, we planned it all, and then
Yep.
they're just like, we don't want to do this anymore.
Exactly.
And which I guess is understandable for that situation. But
Yeah.
it was split up into two venues within Edmonton, indoor venues.
Right.
This was supposed to be completely open air, which would have been fun.
Which would have been great.
But man, there were some cool bands.
There were.
I saw some first discovered Striker. That's the first time I saw Striker ever.
Oh, no way. Okay.
And Hand of the Horse Witch.
Yes.
Those guys were awesome.
Right.
That's right. Where are they from? They're from Kamloops, I think.
Okay. Yep.
Kamloops or
Kamloops or Kelowna or something.
Yeah, one of those.
Okay. Yep.
South BC.
Yep.
Yeah, totally.
There was, what were those guys called? I want to say Hexen, but that's the name of a game. But it was a name like
Vexen,
that. Vexen, right?
I
It was
think
Vexen,
something
They
like-
were from like Prince George, I think.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, those guys were great.
They were good, yeah.
Those guys were good. And then War Eagle Rising, is that exactly? Yeah.
Right.
I don't remember who's the drummer in that band, but he was like a guy that showed up in a few bands, and he was, he was like a, he was like a George Calais sounding drummer, from what I remember. Just insanely skilled.
Yeah. I think that was the first time I saw Cataplexus too.
Oh my gosh, that's
they're
right.
They're still going. They're still killing it.
They are.
Yeah.
What did Kyle play in before? Was that
Kyle was in Butcher's Hand.
Butcher's
He played
Hand,
bass
right.
and then he did
That's
vocals for Cataplexus.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
That was a cool set. I mean, I remember, we played first. I feel like
That's right.
the first band on the first day, at 3 p.m., 4 p.m., something like that.
It was pretty early, yeah.
Yeah.
That was great.
But it was a lot of fun. Barrett guested.
That's right.
He did some guest vocals on one of our tunes, which was fun.
Yeah.
He and Jason, that was great. I think we were covering, I don't remember if we played it in our set, but we definitely sound checked with At the Gates.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
the guitar player from Quo Vadis showed up. And
That's
he's like,
right.
"Yeah!"
He was like right at the front of the stage, like, yeah, come on. He's like trying to,
Yeah.
shake hands and stuff.
That was so sweet.
That was, man. That was a really fun time. That was a great show. And again, I'm happy, and thankful for everything that Tyson's doing, for the music scene in general, especially, heavier styles, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
We played at the Starlight. When? A couple of times, I think?
I think we played there twice, yeah.
Twice.
First time was with All Else Fails. I think that was our first time playing with All Else Fails that wasn't at the Death Fest like we talked about last week.
Okay.
Because, they're like, yeah, we got a show here. You guys should come play. Mm-hmm. They invited us, and it was basically just like the bands and their girlfriends. Yeah. Like, there was nobody there, but it was still Starlight. It was great.
Absolutely. That's a great stage. The sound is huge, and it's always a good time.
Yeah.
And then did we play there with Jason one time? Or was it both with John?
Yeah, I don't remember. I think we played one with Jason there, too.
Thought so.
Yeah.
Man, oh man. Good times.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing the thing that I said we wouldn't do.
Yeah.
That's okay. That's fine. That's fine. I'll do one of those, maybe two. And then so we went on tour, we came back, and what did we do, man, after we came back? I feel like we all
from the big tour
needed to chill.
Yeah, we were all pretty burnt out.
Yeah, burnt out, broke.
I had no job when I got back, and it's a pretty depressing time for sure. But I remember on our way back, I was just like, yeah, we got to get some sort of recording situation figured out. Mm-hmm. I remember doing maybe not doing a radio interview with what was his name?
Oh, with Harrison. Yes, Mark, I remember Harrison Rogers.
When we got back.
Good dude, yep.
I think we either just went up there to talk to him and visit, or we did a radio interview.
We did a radio interview.
Q99 or whatever there. And that was kind of it for the majority of the public eye thing. Mm-hmm. Basically the end of it.
Yeah, man.
But then, we kind of took a break. I think everybody, went to find work and whatnot. Then we started recording the EP at your place.
That's right. We did the EP.
Yeah.
So. When did we play with Misery Signals? That was at the end of that year, 2009. Yeah, that was before we went on tour. That was like the springtime. Oh my gosh. Okay, I totally thought it was much later. Yeah. No. That was an incredible show. That was a great show. Incredible show. Yeah, a lot of a lot of my younger friends now, they still listen to Architects religiously. Man. I was just like, man, I opened for them. They're like, what, you opened for them? Like, where? I'm like, here in town. They're like, they came here. They still can't believe it. But, absolutely. I didn't even know who they were at the time, and they were whatever record they were supporting was insane. Hollow Crown, yeah. Oh my gosh. So they were just I was right before they exploded right up. Yeah. I mean, when I was in Spain, for example, that was before Tom died. Mm-hmm. I think maybe they'd released Lost Forever, Lost Together, or that record, and even at that time, the album before was just massive. It was just massive, A couple of the metalheads, at Berkeley Valencia, they again mentioned Architects are one of my favorite bands, and I would tell them the same thing, I opened for them, right before this thing happened, and what a great band though. Oh yeah. What was the song that they had a single out for? Early Grave. I think so, yeah. Right? And I remember hearing that before anything else, and it just had the coolest groove. It was I don't know if it was in 7 or it was in 11 or something, but it's one of those riffs that kind of loses a 16th note or an 8th note somewhere. Right, yeah. But it loops around so well, man. So cool, yeah. Who else was on that bill? It was Architects, Misery Signals headlining the whole thing, of course. Was it Comeback Kid? It was Sight and Sound. Sights and Sounds. Yep. Those were guys from Comeback Kid. Exactly. Right. Yep.
And then there was another kind of bigger band, and I can't.
I want to say like Haste the Day.
It was Haste the Day.
It was? Okay,
Yeah.
okay. There you go. Because there's that slew of bands, right? Haste the Day, or Under Oath, or Thursday, or,
Right, yeah.
It was Haste the Day, that's right.
That's right.
That was great. I realized real quick, I made a note about what this particular thought tied into. You'd mentioned last time about how prior to sort of us doing our thing and playing with a bunch of these bands, there wasn't like a massive metal scene in the bars.
Yeah.
Like I think Alexis on Fire played at, Bose or something like that.
Yeah,
and that was a
did.
big show. And then we kind of hit a thing where we'd bring in some bands. And I think it peaked with Misery Signals where, just our crowds at Fred's would get bigger and bigger and it would just be jam-packed.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the first big metal show I think we've had here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then after that was Protest the Hero, but we were on tour when they came.
Yes, that's right.
I heard that was a crazy show.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, can't imagine.
And then, they came back here a couple of years ago, and that was so good. And we ended up, Devolver, my band, opened up for them.
Oh, dude, that's great.
It was cool because there was like a little Battle of the Bands thing we had to do to get the slot, and we got it. It was a lot of fun.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was the crowd like?
It was
sort of packed.
It was so full. It was packed to the brim, and they had their kit backlined. So I had my drum kit set up sideways, kind of like the last show we played here too.
Right.
I just loved it because there's like people I'm like right at the front of the stage.
Yeah.
And there's people just there and they got their phones at me. So funny. It was a lot of fun.
That's great.
Yeah, such a good show.
Did you interact with Protest the Hero? Like, did you have a chance to chat with them or anything?
Yeah, we got to hang out with them and get some photos with them back here in this room. And their engineer, recording engineer, Cameron Jamie, that's his. I don't know if that's his real name or his full name. That's his Instagram name, but he engineered their record. He engineered like the last few Intervals records and stuff. And he was doing their sound.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was really cool. Yeah, I met him too, and their drummer Mike is a super good dude. Another Mapex endorsee.
Okay. Yep.
And just super nice dudes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was Arif still playing bass at the time?
No. So Cameron, the sound guy, was actually playing bass on that tour.
Okay.
And then this particular show was when he switched back to front of house.
Got it.
And then they had this other guy. I think it was their front of house guy. They kind of swapped places, and he was like incredible, like so good.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. Good times. Man, it's funny. I tried to make notes of this, but I can't remember the exact set of circumstances that, kind of led to like the end of 2009. We finished the EP, and then I can't remember if we played any shows after that. What was like the last Calculating Collapse show in town?
Yeah.
And I struggled to remember.
Yeah, me too, man. I remember, I think it was with, that's coming back now, because I was working at Long McQuaid. I just started there. And I think that was our last show in town. We opened up for the band Derelict from Quebec, I think they were from.
Yeah.
They were called Derelict, I think.
Derelict.
Yeah.
Who was in that band?
I don't remember. It's just a bunch of kids. They were on...
Oh my gosh, that's right.
They were on some small metal label. Canadian metal label too. Sundown.
Okay.
Or something of the Sun Records. Something like that.
Right.
And we opened up for them. But I think that was the last Grande Prairie show.
Man. That was it, huh?
Yeah.
We played a show in Edmonton with All Else Fails. That might have been our last. I don't know if that was our last Edmonton show or our last show live ever.
I think that was our last. Yeah, either our last show ever or our last out of town show.
Yeah, definitely.
But it was around the same time.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Really close to the other show.
Boy, oh boy.
That was a fun show too because that was their album release show.
Yeah. Yep.
And we all wore a Hawaiian. No, we all wore
polo shirts. Right.
We looked like goop. We had the collars like up and
exactly.
And Barrett's just like, if I knew they were going to wear this, I wouldn't invite them to play. It's so funny.
That's right. And that's not like a thing that we thought we'd do up until we got there.
We went to the superstore across the street.
We should do something goofy and totally just wear matching polo shirts. But I think the thing is that we weren't wearing matching polo shirts. We weren't wearing like...
Yeah, they were all like, what are they, pastel colored. I still have mine, actually.
That's amazing.
Oh
my gosh.
Ugly shirts.
Totally. I don't know what the desired effect was, but I feel like nobody got it.
Yeah.
It was a great show, and they were just like, what? Why did we do that?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, whoops.
Exactly.
That's our last show.
Totally. Go figure. What a note to go out on, right? Oh my gosh. Maybe if we like gelled our hair.
Yeah.
Wore like matching shorts.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe like drank like Monster on stage.
Yeah.
Plus these, if we'd like taken it all the way, that would have been something. But whatever.
Yeah. It was fun.
Exactly. You take risks.
We laughed.
We laughed. That's right. We had a grand old time.
Yeah.
And that was Sean on vocals, Jordan on guitar.
Yep.
And that was it. That was the end.
That was it, yeah.
Although I don't think at the time we knew it was the end. I feel like we got back and then we were all trying to find work.
We were trying to write new stuff.
Right.
And that's when me and Sean Streeper started to write a lot.
Yeah, man.
And,
you guys had some great stuff.
And that's kind of, once everything dissolved, that's where the Morova stuff went to. So basically, anything we wrote for calculating, or a lot of stuff we wrote for calculating, went to our little weird band that I still really, really like. I think we did some cool stuff.
Oh, yeah, that's some great riffs, man.
Who knows? Maybe we'll come back. I don't know. We'll see.
You heard it here first. Gosh, how did that... We'll kind of come back to that in a sec. Did that lead straight into like Devolver and stuff? I mean, or was there like a gap of many years?
Yeah, a lot of weird stuff happened during that time.
Okay.
For me.
Oh man.
But yeah, like I guess the Morova thing. Like I kind of went fairly serious with it. Like I just wanted to. I just play guitar. Like that was like it was a guitar thing.
Yeah.
Just writing, expressing with melodic notes instead of percussive.
Yep.
And that was really cool. That was a big evolution for me in just songwriting and production and everything.
Right.
Recording myself, and that's how I got into the recording business.
Gotcha.
But yeah, me and Sean and our friend Taylor did that for about a year. And then Sean decided to go off to college in Edmonton.
Oh, that's right.
And
he was away for a while.
I kind of kept it going a little bit, but I just started writing stuff and putting my own name on it.
Yeah.
And then around that time is when I decided to start recording other people.
Oh, okay.
And, so that's kind of where that started back in... I want to say, 2011, 2012.
Okay.
In that area.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to, again, think of the last little while. I mean, so for me, I'm not sure what kind of came first, sort of life stuff or music stuff that precipitated, my decision to, like, move. Because, I mean, I don't remember when, but I had auditioned for Berklee College of Music, and I got in, and then I just kept on deferring it.
Right.
Because we were doing a thing, and it was great. We were on tour.
Totally.
That was when everything was happening. We had a lot of stuff coming up. We were probably signed to Torque.
Right.
All that, all this kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Had a lot of shows. We had touring on the horizon, and everything seemed great. And so I just kept on deferring.
Yeah.
As much as I could.
There was that one guy you met on the road.
Harp Goman, yes.
Yeah, and he was
Oh
gonna.
my gosh.
We were talking about doing a music video with him.
Yeah,
and
man.
That was pretty cool. That was pretty exciting.
Absolutely. I mean, and the thing is, Harp is he's like a legit person in terms of what he does. Like he's in business, his family's in business, and for whatever reason, he ended up in Dallas in the 90s, and he was like good friends with Pantera and that whole crew. And
so cool.
Our meeting was super random because we were just gassing up at a gas station in Toronto off the 401 or something like that. I don't know if we were going into Toronto or leaving.
Right.
And he noticed we were all wearing metal shirts, right?
Yeah.
Maybe I was wearing a Pantera shirt. I don't know.
Yeah.
And so he was just like, oh, hey, like recognizing metal. And, I think as we talked about last time, anytime you see anyone wearing any metal gear, like instantly you sort of seek them out, lock eyes, and you're like, Yes, yes. I understand the squiggly lines. I get it, you know.
Yeah.
But and you know, and being in the music biz or entertainment biz, you meet a ton of people,
Totally.
you know, who sometimes they have good intentions, sometimes they have terrible intentions,
Yeah.
you know, and so nothing ever happens. So you always take everything, you know, any of these interactions with a grain of salt. But
Yeah.
it was like a legit dude, and he had some cred, and we chatted with him, and yeah, that's right. We were talking about doing a music video.
Yeah.
So a lot of this stuff was happening, and so again, I can't remember which came first, live stuff or music stuff. But so the Berkeley deferring scheme kind of was coming to an end. They kind of said, "Hey, look, you have to start January 2011, or else like you've forfeited your spot, you know."
Right.
And so I was like, okay, you know, I don't think I told anyone at the time because, you know, there was just a lot of stuff going on. And then so the second thing was, I think February, March, April, but spring 2010, I discovered that my ex-wife now, that she was pregnant and that we were expecting a baby.
That's right. So you had these two big things
These
coming
things.
in.
Well, of course. And thirdly, but definitely not in terms of priorities, was band stuff, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like, I was still feeling burnt out from all the bands, not just like Calculating Collapse, but I mean, I slammed right into Calculating Collapse right from No One's Alone.
You had no breaks.
Yeah, and that was like a solid 6 or 7, maybe 7.5 years of, you know, being in two bands that did a lot of stuff. You know, both bands gigged a ton.
Yeah.
We recorded a ton, and as we were discussing, we pushed forward a ton.
Absolutely.
And so kind of, you know, ending up like broke and trying to make stuff happen. And, you know, there's like a lot of money that I'd put into various things that, you know, that we just couldn't make back. Right. I think all that stuff was weighing on me. And so looking back on it now, I was just burnt out. You know, I just needed to stop. And so with all this stuff happening, it just seemed like, okay, you know, am I going to like just find some kind of work? And then we will have a baby, and then I will, you know, I don't know what does that look like? Or, you know, is this the time to sort of hop on an opportunity, which is go to Berkeley, you know, do that, and then level up my career somehow.
Totally.
And I mean, I'm sure it weighed on me like for days and weeks.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, and at the time, like I don't know, man. I kept a lot of that sort of just to myself.
Yeah.
And it wasn't because I didn't necessarily trust anybody or whatever, but it just felt like, you know.
Yeah. Well, you had to process. Like,
and that's just it exactly. Just the processing, you know, like that was kind of my own thing, I guess, and then that was it. And I don't know how those conversations went. I remember texting with Jordan a little bit. He was like bummed out.
Yeah.
I don't know. What happened at that time? Do you remember?
Yeah.
Like, you know, what that time was like? How that went down?
I remember. From my side, I remember really wanting to push even more, like more than ever.
Totally.
I was just like, let's go. Let's you know, take over the world.
Absolutely.
And then, but I did kind of feel things kind of like slowing down. Quality was kind of dropping in terms of what we were trying to write. Yeah. Just the overall enthusiasm was starting to dwindle. Yeah. But there was still like this, like, I don't know, this urge to keep going. Totally. And then, I think you took me out for coffee or something. You gave me the news, and I don't know. I wasn't like, I was never ever angry, or I was surprised, absolutely, but I was just like, okay, this is the next, part of the journey, you know. Something like, you know, things are changing now, and but it was, I think I felt kind of relieved at the same time too. It's like, okay, I can really focus on this new job that I enjoy, right? And I can maybe start to write more and do the recording thing and that whole thing. So, I mean, it was a bummer. It's like, like, you know, mostly I was like worried, or I knew I was going to miss all the like interactions with people and the fans and that kind of thing. And then I remember there was like the open idea, like we like kind of made an announcement on Facebook or something like that. Yeah. And people were like, let's give us a show. And I can't remember if it was, I remember Jordan just said no. He just didn't want to do it. Yeah. And I think somebody else didn't want to do it too. Either it was you or it was.
I think it was
maybe Sunbush. No, Sunbush wanted to for sure. Maybe it was just Jordan. Yeah, I think it was just Jordan that kind of, and just for that fact, like, because like everybody was like, yeah, if there's no Jordan, we're not gonna do it. Obviously, and
exactly.
That makes total sense. But yeah, so that's kind of where that was like the end right there. It was
man.
It's like, Arjun's leaving, or like he's planning to leave. He's having a child. There's some big changes going on in his life. So and I think it was around that time that me and Streeper was like, let's just keep going and just enjoy it. See what happens. And man, we wrote some of the coolest songs I've ever been a part of, so that was fun.
Definitely.
That's great.
You guys had a really cool thing going, man.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that.
It was
greatly.
so weird but original. I liked it.
Did Jordan play with you guys at all, or was his time doing the band thing done?
Well, I remember when we got back from tour, he got a new girlfriend who he's now married to.
That's right. Yes, indeed.
And I think he just fell in love, and that was his life now, and that's all. It was awesome. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He had gainful employment and all that kind of stuff, and that's great, man. It's I guess it's one of those things where you can only be penniless and sleeping in a van for so long before it'll kind of wear you down a little bit.
Totally.
My gosh, now of course I look back and I'm like, I'd do that right now. Like every week the Lakshmi's not with me, I'm like, let's just go play.
That's right.
Oh my gosh, but that's hindsight, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Gosh. What a thing. Yeah, I couldn't even remember what the final steps were. Was there an announcement? Did we do we didn't do a farewell show, like none of that stuff.
No, I just remember a Facebook post.
Yeah.
And so we had a weird, it wasn't a page, and it was like a Facebook group.
Yeah, that's right. Somebody started a group, Calculating Collapse
Army. Yeah.
That's right.
And that was that was cool. I mean, that's before pages kind of were a thing.
Exactly.
And so bands were still kind of on MySpace. It's kind of slowly migrating to Facebook. So we were kind of late, or we were early to that game, but it wasn't like a band page like you have now.
Exactly.
So I don't know if it got to a lot of people.
Yeah.
But most people are just like, oh no.
Yeah, exactly.
But oh well.
Shucks. Well, exactly. That's what was up. Man. But then I went to Boston, and you did a bunch of musical stuff, and you continued with the recording stuff. Your musical journey never stopped, obviously, right?
Oh, for sure.
How did you? What were the first kind of steps getting into the recording game for you?
Well, I was in a good position to start something like that because I was working at the music store, and I think I was still there for less than a year during that time. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to do this. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to do it. And so I could buy these really high-end recording computers from work.
Oh, okay.
So I bought one of those.
What did you get?
I bought a Music XPC, which was, I think it's a Canadian company.
Okay.
I don't know if they're still around. Essentially, it's just like custom-built PCs for recording. And it was a tank. It's still, I still use it.
Cool.
It's like 7 years old now, but it still goes. It's time for an upgrade, but man, it was a tank. So, because I just wanted to have unlimited resources. I just want to because when you're starting out, you don't know how to efficiently add effects or whatnot.
Of course, insert everything.
Exactly. 20 inserts on one guitar track.
Yeah.
yeah. I didn't know what buses were.
Oh my gosh.
I
understand. Yeah.
So I got one of those. I bought an 8-channel Line 6 interface so I could plug in and use guitar software, and away I went and just started writing stuff. And then being at the music store, I met all these bands. And so I was like, hey, if you guys want to cut a record.
That's the way to do it, man.
And I started with a band called Hades' Grave, which are a few guys from H2S.
Right, okay.
And some other guys. Well, Justin Sinkovich played with me, Chris, and Jeremy in Grounds to Fall.
Oh, okay.
So I knew him through that. And so, it was the first band. first band I worked with, and I kind of did the old Josh Schroeder method, where you'd basically like put a couple mics on the drum kit and a camera.
Oh yeah, dude.
And record that, and then just program the drums by hand.
Absolutely. Yep.
And so with Superior Drummer 2, and that's how I started.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think I did like 4 songs for $100 or something.
Classic.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah.
It's funny, like after a while, I mean, especially if you decide that it's for you and you know that it's going to be a career thing, that's one of the things that pops up very quickly is pricing structure, like what's my time worth,
Exactly.
I mean, especially making metal or hard rock or something, people want everything quantized, they want samples.
Right.
That's a lot of work to do by hand.
Totally.
Like I remember us doing that a lot, just spending weeks just not getting any sleep.
Yeah. Not even considering that there's phase issues with overheads. And
Gosh, right? Like who knew about phase back then?
Right.
I mean,
what is that?
Dude, it's insane. There's a real quick aside, if I may. One of my, I had a lot of incredible teachers at Berkeley, Boston, and Ted Paddock was a guy who taught the first level engineering course. Right. He had a bunch of teachers who taught certain things. And so he taught engineering sort of 1 and 2. He taught mix 1 and 2 and a couple other things. Right. And Ted's like a very experienced dude. He's worked with everyone from Nora Jones to, I don't know, like Boston area hardcore bands. Like you name it, like he does a lot of work.
That's awesome.
And this must have been engineering 2, I think. 1 was fairly rudimentary, but for me, even having some experience of doing stuff, it's different when you're faced with analog gear, when you're faced with a board and need to know how the signal is routed, all that kind of stuff.
Totally.
And having just a ton of mics that you otherwise never get to use.
Right.
So I feel like one of the first weeks, maybe, of that class was Ted talking about phase. He's like, okay, you guys have heard about phase, and some of you might think about it now and again, but we spent the whole class miking drums, and we didn't use any outboard gear at all. All we did was just record a little bit, check phase, look at the waveforms, listen, throw things in and out of phase, move mics slightly until everything was in phase, or at least as close as we could get. Right. And it was like the greatest drum sound that I'd ever had a hand in putting together.
It's the most, well, you just don't even think about it when you're starting out.
Absolutely.
And, it's like probably the most important thing.
Oh, gosh, definitely. Yeah. Anytime you have more than 2 or 3 mics on a source, you gotta think about it, And,
totally.
And that was, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, even in mixing, like, it's a whole other thing too. Just like making sure whatever you're adding doesn't mess with the phase, because it can still do that.
Totally, man. Crazy. Yeah. The amount of punch that you can lose, just like everything gets softened a little bit. You kind of lose the edges, lose some of the transients when everything's just a little fuzzy like that. Yeah. But phase, what a thing. Yep.
Yeah, man.
Yes, important. Gosh, man. Do you use any phase aligning software nowadays?
Yeah, I use the Auto Align.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
It's awesome.
Got it.
I would, just do the basic, like overheads to snare, kick to overheads as well. Room mics I did for a while and just found that it wasn't as important, because if they're so far away, it's more of an effect.
Exactly.
If you like lock them up, then it just like kind of goes away.
Totally.
But lately I've been doing it with samples, which is kind of cool.
How so?
So you just align, you write your sample track, and then you align that as well. Because sometimes with trigger, sometimes it can go off.
Yeah, exactly.
And I just like, it's a small thing, but it still makes a pretty big difference.
Well, totally. If you think about the kind of mixes and the kind of work that producers you enjoy do, just using like Andy Sneap as an example, I remember listening to some records. I don't know what the first Andy Sneap recording that I would have heard would have been, but it's like, the punch. All those records are so punchy.
Yeah, totally.
They just slam. I mean, the kick drum, everything hits so hard, and that's a big part of it. Like it's great. Get the samples on there, but I mean, even if they're off, just a few samples, a few just a few milliseconds mush here and there, it's mush. Exactly. Yeah. Makes such a huge difference. Cool. Okay. Yeah. So that's how you started. How have you leveled up in terms of gear and stuff like that as you've progressed in your producerial journey?
Yeah, as I progressed, I think I'd say I would say jump to an Apollo interface.
Oh, okay, got it.
And some Neumann studio monitors, the KH210 ones or something, the 5-inch.
Yep.
First guys that they put out.
Yep.
That was a big jump. Mostly from the plugins from UAD are just great.
They're so good.
Because I'm pretty sure I went with I did the UAD stuff even before I went to Waves, which is like Waves has all the important tools that everybody should have.
Totally.
But that's back when they were still really expensive. Now they're like, you can get some plugins for like $40.
Is that insane?
I bought the G series channel strips and compressor for like $400.
Oh my gosh, that's insane. Do you remember what those cost back in the day to get that package? It was like over $1,000.
Yeah, like the platinum was like, well. Yeah.
Oh, for the I mean, just for the G series stuff alone.
Oh, yeah.
Just getting those SSL things.
Yeah. It's like buying hardware.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that's now everybody has access to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember like the Mercury bundle. I think now it's like $4,000 to $6,000.
Right.
And that's like dirt cheap compared to what it used to be.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
How did you go about putting together the plugins and stuff that you use now? Like, for example, like obviously the UAD stuff came with certain things.
Yeah.
And then where did you go from there?
Well, it's pretty funny because with the UAD and all the Wave stuff I got, I didn't know that I had all the stuff that the top, like my favorite guys were using. I had all of it. And so that was basically it for the next couple of years, was me just like figuring out what they're using. I'm like, oh, these guys, I have this. Like, why am I having such a hard time making things sound good?
Exactly.
And so just learning. I think that was it. Was like I did what do they call it at the time? It's called Hardcore Music Studio now. It had a different name. But Jordan Valeriot's course, who worked with I really liked him from his the work he did with Intervals on their In Time record. And then I was just following him randomly on YouTube, and he had like 2 videos. It's like I think there was one about like how to quantize in Pro Tools or something,
right?
Some other stuff.
Yeah.
But then he posted a video. It's just like, I'm doing a course. I'm going to teach you what I do. I just have my screen going, and I'm going to mix through this song. And I was like, yeah, sold. And I think that was like one of the first instances that you could get that online.
Okay.
And so that changed everything, just because like, oh, that's how they do it.
Yeah.
And from that point on, I watched a few other courses. But that was like really all I needed to know that how things should be tracked for better impact, like double tracking. What else? Like compressing more than I thought I needed to.
Always, right? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's like or like when like Chris Guthrie and Paul McLean are going to the call, it's just like, no, you just add a little bit.
Oh, totally.
And it's just there.
So
you can't hear it.
A dB and a half.
Yeah.
No more than that.
Yeah. And it's just like, it's not doing anything.
Now when you record vocals, how much are you compressing?
Well, I compress a lot going in, and then I compress twice as much when I mix.
Oh my gosh. Dude, that's the thing. That's one of the best things about, again, being at Berkeley and working with people, or getting to see, people in their element who do that for a living.
Yeah.
And the first time I saw somebody crank, like a vocal mic going to tape through like an 1176, taking off like 6 dBs, and then like an LA2A taking off like 6 to 10 more dBs. Man. I thought, what are you doing? These guys would say, like, this is not what you do.
Yeah.
And now that's exactly what I do. You just dial it in, and that's
I think it was what's the name? Peter Reardon, I think, the guy from Shadow Hills.
Oh, okay.
Makes incredible gear, and he produced some like pretty big hip hop records back in the 90s. But he was doing an interview with Pensado's place or whatever, and they were talking like doing that shootout thing. What's your favorite microphone, favorite gear, whatever? And he's like, what's your favorite snare compressor? And he's like, the DBX 160, which I use all the time too. The plugin is just great. And then I think Dave Pensado was just like, isn't that like that old thing with like, it's not like it's got the RCA ends in the back of it. And he's like, well, yeah, you got to think about it. Like, you got to ask it, what are you doing? Are you trying to win an award for being balanced or making it sound good? Just use your ears.
Like, that's right.
And then so like, yeah, that's basically what I live by now. It's just like,
yeah,
there's a set of rules that people give you when you start out, which I think are kind of important.
Yeah,
but they're made to be broken.
Absolutely.
So you have to know what those rules are, but then you have to break them.
Totally. It's like with any kind of discipline like ours. Picasso said something about this. Somebody else said something about something else. Right. It definitely is important to get the basic stuff down.
Yeah, totally.
In terms of building a methodology and a workflow, but also I mean, I don't want to sound like a jerk, but like weeding out people who, they're not cut out to do it at the level that we try to do it at. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a difference between deciding you're going to throw up some mics and record stuff and then, to commit yourself to the thankless task of recording, editing, mixing, remixing, all that kind of stuff.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's the thing. When you started talking about the gain reduction thing, my mind immediately jumped to what do we do now for vocals?
Yeah,
man, just get all
crush it.
Exactly, crush it mercilessly, and then do it again. During the mix.
Totally.
Amazing. Mm-hmm. What is your favorite mic for vocals? Do you have one that is your go-to?
Yeah, I would have to say. Well, I've been really liking the Aston Spirit still.
Yes.
It's just been great. It's not for everything.
Yeah.
Because it is very, very sparkly, very very top end heavy.
Right.
So good for smooth, like female, country, hip hop, that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. But anything aggressive still, I would prefer this guy.
Yeah.
SM7.
Oh my gosh. Right.
Just a great mic. And it's funny because you put the two together and the Spirit is basically there. It's got that top end that you need. It's got that really nice bottom end. But when you use the SM7, it's just flat. It's almost dead sounding.
Yeah, exactly.
But you can shape.
Totally.
And you can just go infinite. Yeah. You can go anywhere with it. So.
Takes EQ great.
Absolutely.
Very cool. Mm-hmm. Very cool. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Hades Grave. Who are some of the bands you produced? Or actually, let's back up. Did you get into mixing first with an ear towards production, or were you always thinking about production? Like when, the first gig you ever had in terms of being a recordist?
Right. I would say from then and still, I think mixing is just the thing that interested me the most. Mm-hmm. It's just that's where you get the sound. That's where
exactly.
That's the end result. Well, yep. I mean, they're still mastering, but when I would listen to records and just appreciated how good they sounded. That was it. That's the mixing is basically where that all happens.
Yeah.
But the recording side was I just wanted to mix stuff, right?
Yeah.
But I had to record it to do
exactly.
that. Exactly. And then so that's kind of it. I mean, I knew that I started mixing for some other people who recorded in town and from out of town and whatnot too. And I did notice that it just it wasn't sounding as good as I wanted it to. I couldn't.
Right.
I tried my best, but just the source tones just weren't that great. And so that was the other thing. That's kind of where the production side and the engineering side really came in. Was if I want it to mix good, I have to record it as best as I can.
Exactly.
And so that's it. I don't know. So I still love mixing, and I'd probably still prefer to do that solely as a job.
Right.
But I love working with musicians and getting the best out of them, and it's
Absolutely.
It's good to work with people. You got to do that. I can't just not work with somebody face to face. Just working at home all the time can be pretty grueling. But,
totally.
But yeah, no, I love it all. So
yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and it takes a certain kind of person to be able to work with artists as well. Not everybody has the sort of bedside manner needed to coax takes out of people, like know how to work with different kinds of personalities.
Yeah. Taking the time to find what works with people.
Yeah.
That's like super important.
Yep.
Because like for a long time, I would just get people in and be like, okay, that take was okay, and we're done. But it's not the best.
Yeah, exactly.
And really taking your time. Just it. Not only does it make your record better, it makes them better.
Yeah,
and then
totally.
They'll play shows better.
Yeah.
When they come back, they're even better. Mm-hmm. Just it works out.
Absolutely.
Really helps everybody. So
it's one of the again the repercussions or one of the desirable effects of going through the recording process like that nowadays with budgets the way they are, and everyone trying to save time on everything, like every single step of the process.
Oh, wow.
It's easy to forget that, aside from laying down some music, you're like bettering yourself for the next thing that you do.
Totally.
Do you find yourself tuning a lot of vocals or being asked to tune a lot of things, not just vocals, but, guitar, bass, all that kind of stuff? I mean, or do you find enough time in your process to get the performances as well as you can on the way in?
Yeah, I obviously try to get the best going in, especially with instruments. Vocals, I don't let things slide. Don't get me wrong, but
I got you.
But with vocals, I usually just tune anyways, and I only tune gently. So if you're I don't use Antares as much anymore. I use Auto-Tune, I don't use Melodyne as much. I use Antares Auto-Tune.
Got it.
Just because it's to me it's very transparent, and I only use it at about 50. Retune speed, which is fairly light. So even if they're in tune, it's like great. They're just in tune and it's like a little bit closer. And then if they're way off, it just kind of brings them back into that range. So it's quite natural. But if it's like way off, I'll just redo it. But with instruments for sure, it's like got to get that tuning perfect. Got to get those drums tuned. Tune them as much as you can. Because, with drums, you don't want to go back after sending it to somebody to edit, getting them back and being like, oh, crap. It's just, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, totally. Totally.
Yeah.
Interesting. What is your workflow like in terms of mixing? Do you have a bunch of templates that you use? Do you kind of build something from scratch each time based on the project?
Yeah, usually it's from scratch most of the time. Right. I have certain formulas, but the main reason why I don't do presets yet, I think I might kind of get into that realm later on. When I just don't think I have like Andy Sneap. He has you just know when it's him, right?
Yeah, totally.
I don't have that sound yet, and it's not that. I probably could have one, but I'm just not ready. I want to experiment. I want to have completely different things. And I mean, because I'm working with right now a country band, heavy metal band, and kind of a psychedelic punk band. Yeah. They're all different, So I don't want them to sound the same.
Oh, absolutely. Totally understandable, man.
So just I have a formula where I'll have maybe a limiter, compressor, blah blah blah. Usually, most of the time, depending on what the instrument is. But it's always I wonder what this compressor sounds like compared to this one, because I have the full UAD library and lots of Waves plugins and the what are they called? Fab filter.
Oh so my gosh.
It's good stuff. So I just like playing with that stuff.
That makes sense.
And really trying to find what works with different things. And I learned that more and more. This compressor's great on piano, or this one's killer on vocals and stuff.
Totally.
But there's still a lot of ones that are the same, like the CLA compressors I use pretty much every time.
Yeah.
And the Fab Filter EQ that just set the bar for me.
Yeah.
And I really like the what are they called? OX Sound Soothe.
Oh, what is that?
It's like a high frequency like a dynamic EQ, you could say.
Oh.
So it takes out all those super ringy harmonic stuff.
Yeah.
Just by
I see.
Essentially just turning up a knob. Like it's like a Band-Aid.
Fantastic.
It's so handy.
Oh my gosh.
It's great. You can put it like good for when you can't just find that little screech in overheads
Oh gosh.
or like guitar amps and stuff. Like it's really, really
saves you listening to, cranking,
and then you're like
18 dBs of something, finding that terrible
your ears
whistle.
are done after that point. Like
absolutely.
You just and then you're like you can't hear anything else and you got to go take a break.
Exactly.
So it's just turns it off.
Awesome.
It's so nice. Yeah.
Well, I'll have to check that out.
You should. It's really good.
Cool. Well, that's great.
Yeah.
Are you into tape saturation? Like, is that now, do you do that all the time? Is that the kind of thing that you like to bring in all the time on every single mix session on some level?
Yeah. I always try it. And I'd say 99% of the time it makes it sound better.
Yep.
I've been playing with it a lot now in different functions because sometimes, depending on which one I use, I go between like the Ampex.
Oh yeah, okay.
Whatever the UAD one is, and then the Studer A800, and then the Oxide tape, which is really cool.
What is the Oxide?
It's another UAD one.
Okay.
I can't remember who makes it. And then the virtual tape machines by Slate,
sure.
which I use that
Yeah.
on the main bus.
Got it.
Pretty much all the time.
Yep.
But you'll find that you'll have a lot more bottom end or mid range in some of them.
Exactly.
Sometimes you don't necessarily want that.
Yep.
So it's been a lot of fun. The Oxide is really cool. It's very intense. It's almost like it's similar. It sounds similar to the what's his name?
The Kramer or
Massey.
something? Oh, the
Massey tape head.
Oh my gosh.
Very similar to that,
Dude,
where like you just need a little bit, but it's very transient, very like higher pitched.
Yep.
So good on like snare drum.
Got it. Okay.
Bites and stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, and that's really cool.
Yeah.
And even the Decapitator is so good. You just have all these options in one. You can have just subtle to like destruction.
Crazy, exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, it's so cool.
Do you use any kind of non-linear summing? Like, do you for example have the Slate, the virtual mix rack and stuff, or do you just have so you know how there you've got like the VBC kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Do you use that kind of summing?
Yeah. I use the FG Gray.
Oh yeah.
A lot. Almost most of the time, which is their version of the G series.
Right.
And man, it's so good.
Yeah.
It has like just the right amount of punch and smoothness. And just recently I used their, is it a Pultec? What's that big like 2-row stereo, like vintage?
Oh, the big huge thing.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
I don't remember what it's called, but I know what you mean. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, anyways, I used their Slate's version of that on a drum bus just a couple days ago on country song with like kind of with brushes and like very open, but I still wanted it kind of squashy. Yeah. And it worked great. Yeah. So it was really cool.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. Do you have any outboard summing? Like do you have like the Dangerous or any of that kind of stuff?
I don't have any of the Dangerous stuff, which is really cool. But I do have the API, the channel strip.
Oh, which cool.
Just got, and it's been really good. I just finally did one with vocals through it a couple of days ago with Scott Doway.
Oh, awesome!
Through one of these, and it's great. Like there's enough headroom to run one of these. You don't need a booster or anything, which is really nice. And the compressor is just really nice.
Sensational.
Great
piece
EQ.
of gear. Yep.
Super good EQ.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times I'll run outboard to that or my my Rupert Neve little channel strip. It's the 50. They don't make it anymore. I think it's called the 5051.
Okay.
Which is the Portico preamp.
Okay.
And then the Portico series compressor in it.
Got it. Does it kind of fit in like a double 500 thing, or is it like a rack?
Half rack.
Oh, okay. I got you. I see.
And it is so good. I used the what was it? The Portico 1 or Portico 2 full on channel strip.
Okay.
and that's where I got a taste of it.
Yeah.
And so basically, it's just that with the EQ, because that compressor is so transparent. Yeah. Like you cannot hear it.
Totally.
It's so nice.
Yeah.
And so most of the time, I'd run vocals through that going in. With a pretty decent amount of compression, because you can get away with it.
Yep.
And I'll outboard to that as well when I need to. With that compressor, it's just great.
Yep.
And I just got the SSL Nucleus.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, the big board.
The board, yes.
And that has 2-channel SSL preamps in it, which I haven't actually used yet.
I was going to say, do you run your 2 mix back through those, or what's the idea? Yeah.
I will very soon, because I can't wait.
Oh, dude, that thing. If I may have an aside real quick, I first heard of that and got hip to that thing when I was at Berkeley.
Oh, yeah.
The SSL guys, like a lot of these folks will show up and, hold some kind of a demo day or something like that. And so they had the Nucleus.
Yeah.
Now, I've always loved SSL gear. I should preface that by saying I've only been into anything like in terms of like real gear since I moved to Boston, right?
Yeah.
So in that short span of time, I guess it's almost 10 years now, but whatever.
Yeah.
I love SSL stuff. I mean, everything is so awesome when it's analog and, full of electricity and stuff. But
totally.
So they were doing a demo. They set up one of the studios to play things back through the Nucleus, to record things through the Nucleus, and just to show the difference that having that integrated into your digital project studio would make.
Yeah.
And obviously, I shouldn't say obviously, but for anyone who knows me, they know that I love Peter Gabriel. I love his music, his production, whether it's Genesis or, through his solo career. But man, something about that music is just incredible.
Oh, yeah.
So for the demo, they had this was when Peter still owned SSL, right?
That's right, yeah.
And they were using the multi-tracks to big time.
Oh, no way.
Aside from just geeking out over the piece of gear, I was just having the greatest time listening to that song, listening to each of the parts that went into putting that together. So, I mean, instantly I was biased towards, like, whatever this thing is, I love it.
Yeah,
you know what? Show me stuff, I guess, but I love this thing.
Yeah.
What a heck of a thing.
Oh, man, that's incredible.
It's cool, man. And it's funny because, once again, they some of the things that we don't necessarily think about in terms of headroom, in terms of stereo imaging and stuff like that, they showed very specifically, like you just run this through your sound card or whatever interface that you have, that's cool. Yep. But then, listen to when we run it through the Nucleus and we kind of push the 2 mix a little bit coming back in, and you hear like a little bit better stereo imaging. You hear like just a tighter center channel and stuff like that. And
crazy.
Man, it's I'm super glad that you have that.
I can't wait.
Once you start cranking those things out, it could be great to hear those.
Totally. Wow, I'm excited now.
Yes, do it.
I will.
Bevin, do you run? Do you have a reference playlist for music that you listen to either when you sit down to mix or when you're in a new room, to record or something like that?
Yeah, sort of. The first thing I do is usually get some stuff from the client. It's like, what do you like? What do you want this to maybe sound like, or what have you been listening to lately? And I'll usually reference that before I mix and after. And a lot of the times, if they want it like very close, I'll match the EQ on Ozone, which does it quite well.
Yeah.
So that's usually my process. But I'll just have some go-to stuff depending on the genre. But because I'll have something for everything. But as far as like metal goes, a couple of Andy Sneap things, like probably Doomsday Machine by Arch Enemy.
Gosh.
The Panic Broadcast by Soilwork, which was Jens Bogren, which such a pumpy fat mix.
Absolutely.
And I think he's like the king now. Now that Andy Sneap's playing with Judas Priest and playing guitar,
dude,
which is so sweet.
It's so cool, man.
But I think he's kind of my favorite guy because he's pretty broad. You kind of know when it's him now, which is really cool. He has his sound and it's insanely massive, but but like, you know, him working with like bands like Opeth, which is like all across the board, you know, super acoustic to super metal.
Yep.
And then, you know, Soilwork, which is just like fast paced and really hard hitting. And then like stuff like Flush God Apocalypse and Dimmu Borgir, like the massive sounding things.
Gosh, absolutely.
Or he did that one Devin Townsend record. What was it called?
Oh, which one?
That really weird, crazy one. Oh man.
Oh, like one of the like he had like 4 records that came out that were part of the same cycle, and it was.
I think so. It was one of those.
Okay. I think I know what you mean.
Oh man.
Not the one with the crayons on the cover.
No, it was after that one.
Right. Okay, I gotcha.
But
yes,
like, it was just chaotic, like the most craziest sounding thing, and only he could mix that. Like he just balances everything so well. And
totally.
I did buy his course from
cool.
What was it? The mixing with.
Was it Pure Mix?
No, those
not like Not
Joey
URM or
Sturgis's,
something.
thing.
Oh.
In the Nail the Mix.
Oh, Nail the Mix. Okay.
Yeah, I bought that because I just had to watch him work.
Yeah.
And it was pretty cool to see him really focus more on a technical side. Mm-hmm. And he left a lot of things that I would normally clean up, like a lot of bleed.
Oh, really?
Just leave, or he would just treat very lightly, which is, it's fine. Like, I mean, if you can just like slightly hear it in a track, that's probably okay. You know, like you don't need to like cut off the end of a snare drum or just to kill the rest of the bleed. Man. It's so he lets everything breathe. He really makes like he looks at phase and everything. Yeah. Like he checks phase. He flips it on everything, just making sure, because you never know. And like certain stereo processes, like he'll use like linear phase stuff,
right,
just to keep the phase in line and whatnot. And that was probably where I was really starting to look at phase within the mixing realm.
Yeah.
Just like, again, less is more. You just kind of reinforce that fact. Just like you don't need to do crazy stuff on the EQ. Sometimes you do, but just small steps everywhere and going back and forth always. And soloing stuff, or like there's times where you need to solo.
Right.
But a lot of people say don't ever solo, or like don't try not to do it too often. But what he would always do is if he needed to isolate something, he would always still have 1 or 2 things playing, 2 tracks.
Totally.
So it's like you don't need to listen to the whole mix and try to like EQ, because sometimes you just can't hear it.
Yeah.
Especially in a dense metal mix. But like just like say you're trying to get your snare drum right, just turn on your overheads, maybe bass or guitar.
Yeah.
And just leave room to listen, but don't cut everything out.
Totally.
That was a big important thing I learned.
Absolutely.
For sure.
I don't know about you, but I definitely was guilty of that, while I was in Boston. Probably before I kind of got out of that when I was in Boston because of, again, seeing what people were doing, good instructors and just getting good advice. But like you think you've sculpted the best tone and then you hit unsolo and it's in the mix and it does not sound like you want it to sound still. You're like, why is that? Well, you can't mix the solo.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's funny, everyone says that kind of thing. I mean, go to solo to kind of pull some things out, but then throw the mix back up, or as you described, a couple of things, and then do something additive. Right. Because, I mean, if you're in solo and you're just adding a bunch of stuff, I mean, you have no idea how it's going to affect everything else.
Yeah. It's crazy.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Well, what was this is a quick aside. I think it was the Ensbog remix. What was this band called? You Hip Me to a CD. It was Fear My Thoughts.
Okay,
years ago. Because the recent Fear My Thoughts does not sound like this particular record.
Yeah.
Volcanus, that's what it was.
Yeah.
I think that was the first mixes of that I'd heard, right?
That was
was that somebody else?
That's Henson. Jacob Henson.
No, that's Jacob Henson.
That's right. Yeah.
Whoa.
So he ended up doing this huge Danish guys. What are they called? They do like the Johnny Cash style metal stuff.
Volbeat?
Volbeat, that's right.
Volbeat.
Yeah.
Jacob Hansen, that's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
He worked with them and got pretty huge. But he's also done cool stuff like I did a lot of stuff for Heaven Shall Burn.
Mm-hmm.
And
he
did a couple of records with, oh man, I can't remember the name now. Crazy technical metal band. I can't remember now, but he's very good. I really like his work too. But yeah, that was Jacob Hansen, because you could really, he always had the same kind of snare and kicks.
Yeah. It's a specific kind of vibe, you know?
Yeah.
And the guitar tones on that record stuck out to me because, you know, if I was left to my own devices, I wouldn't kind of go for that kind of guitar tone.
Right, totally. I know
when
exactly.
You listen to the record, man,
it just
it's
fits.
So good.
Yeah, it's so like, I don't know, it's like, it's really mid-rangey.
Yeah, like a ton of low mids.
Yeah,
like
totally.
I would probably pull those out, add some more high mids, if you know, again, out of context. But
it's definitely not a Sneap guitar sound for sure.
Absolutely,
but still just works. It's great.
Killer sounding record.
Totally,
man. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you. That was good. Also, I remember another record that you pointed me towards was that Birthday Massacre record, Walking with Strangers.
That's right. Yeah.
Which since then record. I've like they've become one of my favorite bands.
Yeah.
Man. They're so good.
Yeah, they're really cool.
Did you listen to the last one, Under Your Spell?
I heard one song from it and it was really good, but I kind of forgot about them.
Got it. You know, if you have any time to, you know, like light some candles and sit around and like listen to a record top to bottom.
Yeah, totally.
Listen to that album. Like,
oh man, yeah, I will.
Whatever the single was really good. The title track is sensational, but that's one of the few records in recent years where, I mean, I'm sure there are 10 or 11 songs, and like almost every single one of them is great. I mean, you can listen to the entire album front to back and just be happy.
Oh, that's great.
But doing the thing that they do, you know, I really dig that vibe.
Nobody else really does it like them, which is really cool. Good, absolutely balance between synth, pop, and like that 80s Strat phasey guitar tone is just so good, man. I love it.
And they have that great, again, that 80s goth, like melancholy vibe.
Totally.
I don't know how else to put it. It's like, you know, I don't necessarily need to be sad to listen to it, but it's just, that's the vibe, you know, like, man, it's such a cool emotional hit.
Oh, absolutely.
But yeah, check it out, man. It's when that record came out, I was in Spain, and again, like there were like a lot of things going on in my personal life that kind of, I think the album spoke to, but when they released that record, I remember just sitting and listening to it top to bottom and just like, you know, thinking like, you know, as you do every now and again, like, yes, I understand every single thing that you're saying.
Right.
Yes. You know, like I get the record, I get the mix, I get the tones.
Right.
Anyway, thank you. I would not have gotten into them, I don't think.
Well, actually, Jason Bryan got me into them.
Come on,
so,
what?
yeah.
Jason Bryan, thank you.
Yeah, we worked together for a little while at Phoneco, and he's putting on this record.
Oh, okay.
I think there's another guy with us when we were in the truck. And the guy's like, "What is this?" And I'm just like secretly like, "This is really good."
Yeah,
like,
that's right.
So good.
Whatever this is, I love it.
Yeah, totally.
Dude, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, I feel like we're kind of coming to the end of our time here.
Yeah.
I think I've covered everything sort of on my hit list of things to talk about.
Yeah.
Boy, you got anything? What's happening?
What is happening? Well, since we're talking about albums, I was going to say I think the best sounding record of the year for me so far is the new Rammstein album. If you listen to radio, as they say, man, that snare,
insane,
so good. Great tones.
What a
really
band.
Good guitar tone too. Oh yeah,
jeez,
they're just like they caught on to like the idea of them being a gimmick, and they're just like, that's right, and they just pushed it. Oh, they're just so smart and so funny. Like,
well, that's just it.
Like they know what they're doing. Like some people just don't get it. They're just like, oh, it's stupid or it's cheesy. It's like, well, they know.
They know what they're up to, man. And talk about like an unwavering and uncompromising devotion to, you know, a specific aesthetic
Totally.
I mean, they've just always been them.
Yeah.
You know?
Fire.
Yeah,
So much fire.
So much fire. All this pyro. Wasn't it a thing like they weren't allowed to tour like in Canada or something because, you know, like
in the States too,
yeah,
for a while.
Right.
Yeah, they just fire laws and crazy things like that.
Crazy things.
I mean, the stuff they're doing on their tours right now, their big like football arena tours.
Yeah.
Like there's a shot like from somebody's apartment like miles away looking at the arena and just flames shooting out of it. Like it's just crazy.
That's amazing, man.
Just
good for them.
smoke and flames.
Absolutely.
They just like and I saw them a couple of years ago in Edmonton, and just like the most professional production I've ever seen. Just like so much pyro, obviously, but like the lighting was insane.
Yeah.
Like better than any Broadway production I've ever seen, and like just so loud.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was great.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I've never seen them, and I would love to see them live sometime.
Yeah, you must. It was the
Maybe
best
it'll
show I've
happen.
ever seen, for sure, by far.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. I'll check them out. Listen to that album some more. Well, you know what? I guess that's it, Bevin.
All right.
I think for now, we got, you know.
Yeah, we'll do another
got
one
it
in
all.
15 years and see what we're up
15
to.
years. Oh, my gosh, exactly. Oh, jeez. It's funny how time passes, man.
Oh, yeah.
Again, it's 2019.
Gets faster and faster.
Yes, it does. As we get older, I know. Well, as always, man, I appreciate the heck out of your time, you know.
Oh, yeah.
I appreciate you. Thank you for everything.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming out and chatting. That's it.
That's it.
You know, we'll hang out offline sometime.
That's right.
Awesome. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. All you teaming masses who I'm sure, you know, check this out all the time. Please hit subscribe, smash that bell on YouTube. Smash it. I have to start one of these by, you know, like with a, it's your boy Arch. What's up? You know, one of those
what's
things.
up, YouTube?
Yeah, exactly.
Smash that bell.
Smash one of those. I love Peter McKinnon. He does that stuff all the time. And I mean, he means it, you know, and he's sincere with what he does, but I crack up every time, you know. Pshow, you know, like one of those things. Pshow, here I am.
He's just crazy.
Absolutely. What a guy.
Oh, yeah.
Canadian.
Yep.
Good
That's right.
dude.
Represent.
We're coming up to Canada today, so
That's right.
gotta give some shout outs. So smash the bell, hit subscribe. If you're watching this on Facebook, you know, like the video, like the page, share it if you wish. Thank you. See you next time.
See you guys.